Hello YouTube, welcome back to another lesson of biology and geology. Today we are going to start a new unit. This unit is number 7 and it's about the animal kingdom, the invertebrate animals. Of the animal kingdom. These characteristics, you can find them in page number 88 and 89 of your book. So let's begin. The animal kingdom, as you know, as you can remember from the chart about the main characteristics of the 5 kingdoms, you can remember that the general characteristics of the animal kingdom are that these organisms are multicellular with tissues and organs, right? That's the main difference between the animal kingdom and the protoctist kingdom, especially the protozoa. Then we have the type of cells: eukaryotic animal cells, right? So their cells have a nucleus because they are eukaryotic and they have a lot of organelles, but they don't have chloroplast and a cell wall because they have eukaryotic animal cells. Also, the nutrition is heterotrophic. That means that they cannot produce their own organic matter and they need to obtain that organic matter from other living things. These 3 are the main characteristics of the organisms inside the animal kingdom. However, in your book you can find 4 more characteristics that they are less important because you can find some exceptions. For example, most animals can actively move. They can move around freely, like the crocodile, for example, or a bird. That birds can fly, for example, so they can move actively. But some animals don't move. Also, animals are extremely sensitive. That means that they have a kind of nervous system. Most of them have sense organs. For example, the smell is very well developed in dogs, or what else? The sight is very well developed in some birds, like a falcon. So they have very specialized and very well developed sensitive organs that allows them to detect changes in the environment. Also, most of animals have a skeleton, right? But you can think, well, there are some animals that they are invertebrate and they don't have skeleton. But we will see that some invertebrate animals have an external skeleton. So most animals have skeleton. Also, they live in aquatic and terrestrial environments. So we can find a crocodile or a butterfly or a cat or a dog. They are terrestrial animals, but fishes are aquatic animals. Just to name some examples. Okay, so how are animals classified? Well, to classify them, we need to put every type of animal in the different taxonomic categories. As you remember, we have the kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So to classify them, we need to pay attention to some characteristics. And depending on these characteristics, we can see differences between these groups of animals. So a very simple and straightforward classification is based on the presence or absence of a spinal column. Other characteristic, it can be their symmetry. Also, we can pay attention to their nutrition or their reproduction. Based on these characteristics, we can classify the animals. So the first type of classification is based on the presence or absence of a spinal column. Based on that, we can distinguish between invertebrates and vertebrates. Invertebrates, as you probably know already, these animals don't have, let me highlight this, they don't have a spinal column, right? Maybe you have learned that they don't have a skeleton, but that's not completely true. These animals can have some sort of skeleton. For example, shrimp. If you have eaten a shrimp, you need to peel this outer shell that is called exoskeleton. It's like an armor of a knight. So this is an external skeleton, right? But they are considered invertebrates because these animals, they don't have a spinal column made of bones, right? Then we have the vertebrates. These animals have a spinal column. Here you have an example. This picture have been taken from the Natural History Museum in London. If you have the chance to go there, you can see that this is the main hall at the entrance of the museum, and you can see this skeleton of an animal holding from the ceiling. I let you few seconds to try to guess which animal is this. Okay, so this animal is a whale. And you can see that because of the size. If you see these people, this animal is really, really big. Very impressive. And also, you can realize that this limb is a fin. So this is a whale. And I use this example because you can see this spinal column made of bones that is so characteristic of the vertebrate animals. The other characteristic that we can focus on to classify the animals is symmetry. I guess that most of you know what symmetry means. It's similar to Spanish, simetría. So in this picture, we can see that this image is symmetrical because we can draw a line, and these two images are identical from this line or this plane, which in this case is the surface of water. So it's like a mirror. You can connect or you can relate every point of one image with other one in the other, and both points are at the same distance from the symmetry line, right? The eye, here you have an eye and here you have another eye. So it's like a mirror. This is symmetry, right? I think you can understand it. So in human beings, we can draw also a line that divide our body in two identical parts. We have the right side and the left side. Well, in this case is the opposite. This is her left side and this is her right side. So in every side you can see that we have one eye in one side and the other eye is in the other side. Also with the organs we have two lungs, one in each side. Also with the arms and hands, the legs, and so on. So these parts are symmetrical. Well, some of you can think or can ask, and what's going on with the liver or with the heart, that we only have one organ and is placed in one of their sides? Yes, that's an exception. But in general, I think it's very clear that we are very similar in respect to this line or this plane. So here you can see the plane of symmetry in human beings, which is this one, the sagittal one. But if we try to look for another plane like this is not a symmetry plane, because in this side we have the face and the other side we can find the back of the head, which is very different. Or if we try to look for this plane, okay, a horizontal one, you can realize that this is not a symmetry plane, because in the bottom side we have the legs, and in the top side or the upper side we have the head, arms, and so on. So these parts are very different, right? Okay, so based on that symmetry we can classify animals as non-symmetric animals. There are some animals that they are so irregular that, like porifers, that they don't have a symmetry plane. Some animals have a bilateral plane, like human beings or the penguin, that their bodies can be divided into identical parts. And also we can find some animals with radial symmetry. In this case, we can divide their body into two parts following this plane across the arm, right? But the interesting thing is that we can find several planes of symmetry in this animal, and all of these planes cross in one central point, and the planes are like the radius of a wheel. That's why this symmetry is called radial symmetry. Based on their nutrition, we can classify animals as carnivores, herbivores, or omnivores. Carnivores are those animals that eat other animals, right? Herbivores are animals that eat plants, and omnivores are those animals that eat other animals and also plants, right? In your book, you can find different examples like of nutrition that they are compatible with these three types of nutrition. So you can find deposit feeders. These are animals that eat organic matter that is inside the sand and sediments deposits, for example, at the bottom of the sea, or the seafloor. Also, you can find some animals that they are parasites, like the mosquito. These animals feed on other animals, like the mosquito, that suck blood from mammals, basically, cows or human beings. They produce damage, harm the other animal. Also, we have scavengers. Scavengers are those animals that eat dead bodies of animals, right? For example, the vultures or hyenas. Also, we can find filter feeders. A filter is just an object like this that it can separate particles based on the size of the particles. So the big ones cannot cross the filter and the smaller particles can pass the filter. So some animals like whales or mussels, they take water and can separate with a filter the organic matter or the plankton in the sea, and they can eat these tiny particles using a system of filters. Also, we can find predators. Predators are those animals that feed on other animals by hunting them. The examples, well, you can find lions or cheetahs or wolves, dogs. Those animals are predators. These words are not in your book and you don't have to memorize them, but they are just some examples of other types of nutrition that you can find in some books. For example, frugivores, that they are animals that eat fruit, basically. Granivores, they eat grains. Folivores are those animals that eat leaves. Xylophagus, they eat wood from the trees. Some insects can eat wood. And also, ruminants are a type of herbivore, very special, like cows, that they are ruminants. Okay, the hens are omnivores because they can eat grains, right? They are granivores, but also they can eat some insects or worms, gusanos. So they are omnivores. This type of classification is not included in your book, but I add it because we will see these names in the following units. So we can classify animals also based on their reproduction. All animals have sexual reproduction. Some animals have also asexual reproduction, and we can classify them based on the embryonic development. So most of these words you already know them. We have the oviparous. These animals produce eggs that develop outside of its body, like the hen that is incubating her eggs, right? Birds, fishes, some reptiles are oviparous. In the other side, we have viviparous. Viviparous are animals that the embryo develops inside the female body. Okay? This is the example of a dolphin. This is a baby dolphin that is growing inside their mom's womb. And the third type is like a mixture between them, ovoviviparous. In ovoviviparous animals, the embryo develops inside an egg, like birds, right? Or fishes, but the egg remains inside the body of the female animal, right? Inside of the female's body. So the main example are sharks. Some sharks are ovoviviparous because they produce eggs, but they don't put the eggs outside. Okay, the baby sharks developed inside these eggs, and then they born outside of the egg, right? I will put a link with of a video with some images of a shark giving light. Finally, in this image, you can see the different types of animals, and they are put in order of appearance in the earth, right? Based on evolution. So the ancestor of all animals, it should be a protozoa, a protoctist, right? And the first type of animals that appeared were some invertebrates animals, right? First, porifers, Nidaria, okay, different type of worms, mollusks, and then we will see arthropods are here, and finally the last group are chordata or vertebrates. So this is just an example to see how the different types of animals appear in planet Earth. So I hope you like the lesson. If you have any doubts, you can ask me as always. And in the following lessons, we will explain the invertebrate animals. So hope you like it and see you in the next lesson. Bye.